How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and today we finally have the release of Solo Leveling. My GOAT, Sungjin Woo, is finally here. Now, to be honest, I don't really know what to say. Let's talk about why a manhwa that is currently ranked like #1 out of all the manhwas out there. Bear that in mind. It's ranked like #1, and if it's not #1 right now, it's top 5. Its anime adaptation has a ranking of 111. And that is not unfounded, with an 8.5 score on my anime list. There is a lot I can tackle in this video about how I feel about this anime, but first let's look at it from an anime watcher's perspective, someone that's never read the manhwa. So we start off by seeing the S-rank hunters in their attempt to subjugate what is the Ant Island, that is an arc further down into Solo Leveling. And it is this island where the ants have basically took over and they can't subjugate anything. So it's just like attempts after attempts of them losing. And we barely see any of that in the Solo Leveling manhwa. So it seems as though they were trying to incorporate this in order to show what the fight scenes are going to look like. And it's just, I personally think it's probably the dumbest thing they could have done. Don't get me wrong, I love Solo Leveling. I'm really excited for the anime adaptation, and I have super high hopes for it. And I'm like trying to be understandable, but why'd we throw that in there? So as I said, all right. So as we said, look at it from an anime perspective, like an anime watcher only perspective. You kind of want to see what you're going to expect. So you get to see what an S-rank hunter is like and how strong they are. But from a manhwa reader and someone that, like, you know, understands Solo Leveling and has at least read a chapter of it, would know that, like, what was the point? You just adapted something that like has not really been talked about at all just to fill up some time that didn't need to be filled up. I didn't make this video planning on like rambling on and on about Solo Leveling, but I'm sitting here reading the first volume again and I'm like, that adaptation was like honestly questionable at best, if I'm being honest. What was that? So let's go over what happens, what doesn't happen, and how far they got into Solo Leveling. Right off the bat, that whole initial fight doesn't happen. The whole, like, the S-rank hunters fighting the ants didn't happen in the first chapter. And then that whole thing about the purse robber and the blonde girl who is the S-rank hunter, that doesn't happen. And if it does happen, that didn't happen in the first chapter. And then you're like, huh, maybe they were just doing that to try and, you know, fill in some time to, you know, get the gaps in. They can't be having so many chapters adapted into one episode because that would just be a little, it'd feel rushed. I can understand that. I hate it when they rush an anime. But I'm like, all right, let's just see how many chapters they got through in this first episode. They got this far into the first chapter. They got about 3/4 of the way through the first chapter. So all of this filler that they added in to try and add some world building kept them away from even completing one full chapter. So if you look at it from like a general perspective, why did they not follow the manhwa to a T? Because they didn't even get one chapter adapted. It doesn't make sense to me. If we're going by this logic, there's 180 chapters of Solo Leveling. Are you telling me they're planning to draw this series out for like 250 episodes? Like, that's just illogical, to say the least. It's just weird that, like, I've had such high expectations for them adapting this correctly, and the first scene that they display is something that does not happen in the first chapter. Apart from that, they did the descriptions well about like what hunters are and why the world has been invaded by monsters and all that, but the fact of the matter is that they did not follow the manhwa, and it's just confusing to me because it's like you have such perfect material here that is proved time and time again that it is like the top of manhwas. Like, it is a reigning legend throughout all of manhwas. If you talk to anybody that ever reads manhwas or manhwas, maybe even mangas, they will know exactly what Solo Leveling is and just how popular it is, and for the reason that it is so popular. So what was the point of adding in your own twist of things? Like, follow the material. I really hate complaining, and I was sitting there this morning watching it. I'm like, this is good. Is it good? I'm like sitting there trying to like think about how good it is. But then every time they have something that's like, oh, they're finally following the story, let's go, they switch into some other BS about some other thing that's like never happened. Like the whole purse snatching thing. Dude, what was that? Cool, we got to introduce the girl, but like, why? Like, this isn't an anime that like you need to incorporate like these cool scenes of foreshadowing to try and keep viewers interested, because everybody already knows just how perfect Solo Leveling is going to be. So like, it's just useless. I will say the animation was really good. They got Sung Jin Woo right. They didn't nerf anything in the scenes. They made them like verbatim of how they are with the whole overpowered statue. They didn't kind of dumb it down when the guy got chopped in half. It looks really, really well. But the fact of the matter is that they added so much garbage. There was no point of doing any of that. From my non-professional opinion of just fully reading Solo Leveling and being a manhwa reader with over 300 manhwas that I've completed, this has been a absolute, like, I'm disappointed. I don't want to say like something crazy because I know the series is, you can't mess up Solo Leveling. Like you can't, it's not possible because it's just so good. You have the material to work with. And if you just copy it and animate it, it's going to be superb. But they went ahead and just added this garbage. And it's like, why did you fill in an episode that does not need a fill? Like, yes, it is the first episode, but if we're looking at the manhwa, it starts off following Sung Jin Woo. It does not show this garbage of like a fight with the S-rank hunters and the Ant Island, where they don't even talk about the Ant Island until like 100 chapters in, 80 chapters in. They're more than likely trying to foreshadow this into the future of how the first season is going to end. But Solo Leveling is not one that needs foreshadowing to keep viewers interested. Solo Leveling is such a perfect manhwa that like adding in this stuff to try and keep like the viewer's attention span until the end of the season so they can see how this whole ant thing wraps around into the main storyline is almost more disrespectful to the manhwa than anything else. Overall, I'd give this first episode a solid 7 out of 10. They did really well with everything, but the added in filler that just did not need to be there was stupid. It's like you're trying to milk a cow that just doesn't need it. Like the cow is already like put itself out there and has exclaimed just how perfect it's going to be. And you're like, no, we want more. We want to get this a little bit more. And it's stupid to me. I don't know. I could be alone in this opinion of how I feel about Solo Leveling in the anime so far, but I'm someone that likes to compare the manga to the anime, if you've seen with any of my Jujutsu Kaisen videos. But this Solo Leveling one just added so much. Yes, like, I could understand if like they needed to add stuff because maybe the story that they're basing their anime off of, you know, isn't done yet. There's still chapters coming out, so they need to like properly gauge about how many chapters they need to adapt into one episode. So then they add in filler. Like in Jujutsu Kaisen, there was a bit of filler fights. Like there is a fight, but then there's like a little bit added on to make the fight, you know, go a little bit more longer and kind of give the viewers a little bit more, oh, cool. But like with this one being the first episode, they really, really, really got it wrong, in my opinion. Like for the first episode, you should be copying the material verbatim, at least to the point where there's not like a genuine, wow, that did not happen. And it's just very upsetting to see from an anime that I have been anticipating for so long. Now, I'm sorry you all had to listen to me ramble on about how upset I was with the Solo Leveling anime. It'll get better. I know it will. I know it'll get better. This is only the first episode, and it's just how I feel about this first episode. But I'm sure it'll get a whole lot better for the episodes to come, and I'm sure they're not going to keep, you know, throwing in these random clips of other people fighting when there's a genuine story that they can, you know, be following. And that's all world building, you know? We got to see the top S-rank hunters, so it's cool. But definitely not something we needed to have. Thank you for listening to my ramblings, and please don't hesitate to, you know, drop a sub, hit the like button, maybe check out the other socials, join the Discord, and stuff like that. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, sunrise, sunset, whatever time it is for you. I hope you have a great one because you deserve it. I love you all so much, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.